Hey guys, BenKyo Baduk here. So when you're in this situation as black, like this, and you want to play somewhere here for the upper corner, what is your go-to? What do you usually play here for black? And have you ever encountered this one? This looks like just about the greediest way that black could take the corner. Another similar way is to kick, but when we kick, well, the kick actually has a pretty big weakness left over at the R17. The 3 3 points. In fact, I have another video I posted recently, which was all about how to invade when we have something like this, and black has this kind of kick corner, right? So what happens with this, right? So check out that video if you're interested. Shows all the most necessary high priority variations. So this one, yeah, this one, even though it's on the knight's move instead of the jump, there's still some significant 3-3 agi here. And that's a topic for a future video. Yeah, what about this one? Is there Aji in there? So, is there some potential for white to do things? So I know many people would just block this, or even worse, push here. So what's wrong with this push? The problem with this push is that you make black's corner very strong now. And now even if you block here, it doesn't mean that black has to even connect this, right? This connect is just now like a late middle game, early end game type of move. It's worth more than 10 points, but that's nowhere near big enough right now, right? Anything like this would be bigger, this one, or something like this, even this one, lots of bigger moves. Another way of looking at this, by the way, is imagine that white played this move, okay? Any of you who are, stronger than 20Q, 18Q, or maybe even some of you guys who are around those levels, like, this is a bad move. White barely gains anything from it. Maybe 2 points, and that's even assuming that they even keep this. And you give black the whole corner. Meanwhile, you could have like invaded, attach in Hane, which by the way is more recommended most of the time, or even slide. So, this territory is absolutely not black's, and then you just do that. It almost feels like white passed, and then black just played here, right? Because white getting a stone there is not really worth too much. So basically what it looks like is we did this terrible exchange here, and then black just did this once, right? And doing this once, it's a bit unnecessary, right? If you're not going to connect, but it's not that bad of an exchange. Yeah, you lose the option of doing this, and there's some other things that make it a slightly bad exchange sometimes, but it's pretty minor, right? Whereas this bad exchange is extremely terrible. Okay, so that's how we know that that the push here is no good. So what about blocking? So if you block, of course, black could play away now if they think that's already good enough to partially block the corner. But locally, black would push here to threaten this painful Hane, right? If white Hane is back, there can be this cut, there can be this double Hane, there can be extend aiming at the cut at A later. So, many ways for black to exploit this. Like if black cuts, probably white has to even just sacrifice now. Like if white pushes along, pushing along like this, it's not looking too good. Like white has to save these, but then black is going to be able to break through here anytime. So it's really terrible. Yeah, in this kind of situation, white's gonna have to Atari here and then sacrifice like this. And there's even a big weakness left over, and then the corner is huge. This is terrible for white. Yeah. So that means white maybe has to play here, but that's a pretty nice exchange for black. And then black, yeah, is growing here, shrinking this, big corner. So except for special circumstances, I wouldn't suggest only just considering block, because we have a special move here. And that move is, da-da, yeah, this interesting attach. So yeah, this looks like an overplay at first, but in fact, it's a move that you wouldn't play when it's just like this, because yeah, you can sort of do something with that. Like you can bump along and Hane and like start living inside, but that's going to be very small, painful life. Why would we do that when we could just attach and Hane, or just jump in at this location and then Hane connect, play like this, right? Yeah, so we wouldn't do it here, but the reason why we would consider, or in a theoretical kind of standpoint, that it could make sense here, even though it doesn't make sense without this blackstone, is that you might make this blackstone end up in an inefficient place. So to illustrate that, I will show what happens when black responds here. When black responds here, first of all, white could play away because this is a type of asking move. The way that an asking move works, and that might be something for a future video, right? Yeah, you guys can let me know if you want a video about those. They're also called probes, right? So the concept of an asking move is you're playing a move that black can respond to in several different ways, and which the way to respond is not obvious. Like there's at least more than one, you know, valid good choice. If there's only one good choice, it's not an asking move. You already have your answer from black before you even play the move then, right? So that's not an asking move, right? So black has a few ways. We're going to look at like these moves, these responses, and these ones. So the idea of an asking move is that you get them to choose, in this case, like one of those four choices, right? Let's say they chose this. But let's say white plays away now. After more of the game continues, right? Like another 50 moves, 60 moves, whatever. If you had waited and then you did this later in the game, the board changed, which means the information that black has at their disposal is more, right? When the more in the future of the game we get to, the more board information there is. Like right now, we don't know if white's keeping this territory. We don't know if black's invading this. We don't know who gets this one. We don't know if black is going to get this one or white's going to do something there first. We don't know anything. We don't know if this is going to end up a black territory. So those events, so those developments will educate white's, black's decision here. That's why it's better as white to play this kind of asking move earlier in the game when that information doesn't exist yet. By doing so, you basically lock them into a choice that, you know, doesn't have the future information, the insight, right? It's better to lock them into that choice before they have all the information they need to make a more well-informed decision. Yeah. So we do this and then we don't even have to continue, right? You can just consider that as, you know, just an exchange and then do something else. Like imagine now if you block here, right? You could even just block here, but later on there's still some aji of, which I'll show, right? Is like bumping along, right? And then honeying, and then maybe hane here, and you can build two eyes here. You still need to read it and make sure that, you know, like that black cannot get away with hane, for example, which maybe they can. So, you know, you need to look around. Maybe you need some white support around here to make this cut do some interesting stuff. So yeah, right now it might be a bit dangerous for white to try this, but you can just keep waiting for the chance to do this, right? And if you never get that chance, maybe you're going to do something else. Maybe you're going to cross cut here, attach here, use it in some other way, or even just do this and sacrifice. You know, we have all these methods we can use, and I will show and talk about some of those. So I've already showed that locally white could just start living like this, but yeah, probably we just leave it for now. You can see that white does build a shape that seems to come very close to having two eyes. It's not actually quite two eyes, so it is going to rely on doing something special with like either this one into some pressing move here, which in this case isn't going to work for us because these will connect. But if we had some white here, then these would die, right? And then that would save this group. Yeah, or cutting here, right? And then maybe black plays here, and then we have something that we're doing on this side to, you know, win this fight, right? So there's some calculating to do, but don't worry, it's tough for your opponent too, right? They have to figure it out too. So yeah, you can just let that aji fester there. And even if it never works, like I said, you could do other things. So like you could cross cut here if it makes sense later on. And the idea with this, I just came up with this right now, right? Like it's probably often not a good idea, but how does black respond? If black plays here, you can break out like this. Yeah, like that, and then maybe connect. And there's plenty of situations where that's going to be a very bad result for black, right? This thing, the territory is all broken. That stone there is damaged. Yeah. And if they play something like this, then you can, for example, Atari, and then go down and capture this one stone, which is going to give you a lot of territory over here as well, and also reduce black, right? And black is a bit redundant around here with 2 stones there, and 1 stone inside their territory. So this seems fine locally. Yeah, you could even pull back, and then still, even if black saves this, you could Atari, and then get this move in Sente, and then move on, right? So there's a lot of different ways to make use of this stone. You know, I showed this one, I showed crosscut, I showed this, even attach. So, you know, keep in mind, you play inside of black's corner, black plays inside of black's corner. But you can't really do this move after blocking, right? After this, it's not the same. Now, if black plays away, then if you play this move, you're just dead there, basically. Like maybe black even plays here, right? You cannot make 2 eyes here. This is going to be too dangerous for white. So you have to do it at this moment before any exchanging has happened around here. So let's look at some other options then. What if black plays here? Yeah, that looks pretty promising. So white cannot live inside. Like this is just going to be a dead shape. It's not even the small L, it's like even smaller. So white's only idea is this one. If black goes after this, then even if all we do here is even just connecting, right? We already got into the corner. Maybe black has to go down. But then there's like still this Atari, still this pushing here. We already shrunk black's corner. There's still a bit of agi of pulling this down and threatening both of these groups. So yeah. So black definitely needs to cut. Like that's pretty much black's only option if black wants a good result here. Our alternatives were to just push, which is bad, or just block anyway. So that much of reduction into black's corner, which is like this, this, and then this, like that's already good. So black blocks and then we cut, black connects, and now what, right? So I'll just get straight to the point with this because, for example, let's say you try to play here. Black could Atari, and play here and play ladder, or even push again. Like, for example, if black doesn't, if white doesn't want black to connect under like this by sacrificing, yeah, then black could keep pushing and eventually just go back and fight the liberties in the corner here. Yeah. So there's a lot of liberty building black can do. There's a lot of fun forcing moves on this side. Basically, black's going to come back. What is the cleanest way here? If we Atari and something like this, white plays here, white has 5, we have 5. This can be complicated because like there can be like throw in, and this can turn into yeah, this could turn into like a but what about just not touching? So like, for example, here, white cannot play, let's see. Yeah, white cannot play here because this cut just works. Right? And white cannot play this because, let's see, because black can just connect under. So let's say that white connects. You can just play the liberty fight. White has 4 liberties, black has 5. So like, let's say something like this, for example. Yeah, and then white is just dead here. The point is, this push is usually not going to be a good idea for white, but obviously it depends. Like if white had more stones close by, like the nearby stones always affect everything, right? Like if we have some sort of white here, then it's already different. So like after white blocks here, right? Or yeah, blocks here, then Atari, sure. But anyway, you know, black cannot really get any more liberties than this. So white's in good shape here. Yeah, so that changes everything, right? So then maybe black cannot choose this one. And we'll get to the other responses. So let me show you how I would expect it to go. which is that white can just sacrifice, and then if white tries to fight this like that, the problem again is there's this threat like this, for example, of like making a ladder, making a net, and also threat on these stones. Of course, white could just take liberty, and then black would need the ladder here. And even then, white could connect. So better way, yeah, why not play here to make sure white's dead in the corner, right? If white's dead in the corner, we don't need to do any of this stuff here, right? So, I mean, you can Atari once if you want, but basically, yeah, we have this, and then we have double Hane. And then just net, and now nothing on this side can work for white. Yeah. So going back, after this, white can just fix this for now. And then black needs to take, right? Otherwise, white connects and plays here, and it's going to turn into a ko. Like this. Yeah, and if we compare to like when white just plays here and plays here, right? Which is what white would do if white didn't know, or like didn't know about this, or chooses not to do this, right? Then locally it's this and push and jump. You could play here, but usually jump is nicer. It's faster. There's a bit of weakness, but yeah, it feels a little slow to play this. Jump is like, it's affecting the top side more too. It's growing this part more. It's just faster. But anyway, you know, similar. So if you look at how the territory is here, right? That's easily like 17 points, 15 to 17 points, depending on endgame. So if you imagine instead all this stuff happening, black needs to play here to stop the ko. Otherwise, white makes the ko, and white is so happy. White can just make 2 moves in a row anywhere, 2 big moves. If we count this, right? I mean, white grew this area just as much, right? Even gained an additional stone here. So there's no wedge there now. And if you count this, right, this is 10 plus 4 there, including capture, plus 2 more, right? So 16. So it didn't get any bigger. And also, the kicker here is that white has sente, right? Black played the last move. White can play anywhere. If you look at if white blocks, then now black has sente, right? That's a huge difference. It's an entire move. That's like black invading here, or white finishing the whole thing, right? Or that's like taking this move, which is worth more than 15 points, or, you know, this move, or anything that's like really big. Like, let's say somewhere here. So yeah, a whole move is very, very big. So this is a pretty cool move. Now let's look at a few more variations. Let's see. If black plays here, right, then black does benefit on this side because now your block has no follow-up threat. You won't always be able to live here. It kind of depends on the outside, because locally it's difficult to get 2 eyes. Like if you push, then black can just hane, and that's not enough space. But we do have our own like our own cut coming here later, so we can't really do it now. We don't have any liberties, but you can try to play this one to create some more weaknesses in black. And let's say you play here, right? So let's take away this push. Let's say you play here and black tries to capture. Then you can try cutting, for example. So let's say black tries to extend, right? Even if they ladder, you could push and then break the ladder, right? Even if the ladder was working for black. So after this, you could push here to threaten 2 stones. And, you know, you can make it complicated. For example, push, take your sente here, which is threatening this L18, right? Or tar here, this whole black group. And then pull this out, right? Which is going to create a double threat on these 2 groups. So yeah, there's a lot of danger for these 2 black groups, so it might work. That means this black move here is one of maybe black's stronger responses. But if white does live starting from here, then it's going to be great for white locally. And they can just wait and do it later too. So one more response let's look at is this one. Very, very calm. Something very important to notice here is that here we have a peep. So for example, if black plays something on this side, we can push and cut. right? Don't just respond. If you just respond, you're just dying. You're just getting a small L shape and just dead. So yeah, we need to follow up on our own threat, right? And push and cut, and that's amazing for white. So black has to react. Black's first thought is maybe to react here. White's gonna go here. Black usually needs to block this. Maybe we just play simple like this. And then if black plays here, we can just respond. So if white's gonna live anyway, then maybe black had better damage the outside stone, which also prevents, it's the same, it prevents white from doing this push and cut. So between A and B, if B is not going to be killing the white corner, we might as well play A and damage this outside stone, right? Make it into collateral damage. So then black can respond here, and then white expands, and black block, and white plays here. This time, we don't have a Sente with S16 because black is already connected. So instead of playing here, it's safer to play this one. Yeah. Also, without black being at A there right now, it's safer to play this one than before, because black cannot occupy R17. In summary, when black plays here, I recommend you guys to try out this Q17 and see how black plays. So if black plays this one, then we can Hane. If black just captures like this, then it's already pretty good for white. You have a few different options of how to play here. And even if you just connect now, it's going to be good enough compared to when we were just blocking here and ending up like this. So after this, when black blocks, you need to Atari, and then you can block the outside. And after black responds here, you can just fix. Black needs to also fix, and you get to play away. So the difference between this and just blocking is that this time white gets gote, and black's corner is about the same size as it was in the other way. But the difference is Sente and gote. It's a whole move's difference. So this is much better for white than the normal blocking. If black plays this one, then you don't even have to do anything right away. And locally, you have a follow-up of bumping, Hane, and trying to make two eyes. But you probably want to do it when you have some more white support around. For example, white around here. That way, basically, when you push here, that black cannot Hane. So if black has to extend, then we can just start to live here. Yeah, that's going to be enough. But if black can play here, then we cannot always live. So it's going to depend on how some stuff with this move or this move is going to happen out here. But still, it's pretty dangerous for black. Even if you're not playing this, you could leave it for a while, but also there's other ideas, like even sometimes crosscut. You need to make sure that it makes sense. It's probably a later game tactic, right? And we do take some damage to our stone over here. So you need to think about that, like if black plays here. But this crosscut is still pretty interesting. If black plays here, then we can even just connect or even do this and go down. A lot of ways to play. If black takes here, we can break out on this side. Yeah, if black plays here, then we're going to look forward to this bumping move, which also relies on the outside a little bit, and is going to rely on like these cuts, like basically these 3 cutting points to make something happen, because black can kill us locally. If black doesn't, like for example, if we connect or if we push and then connect, then black otherwise needs to fix something, and then yeah, then we can live by jumping there. I suppose you could attach here, but we wouldn't really necessarily get that much from that all the time, so it would be nice if we could be bumping here. But if you keep pushing here, then you're still going to keep threatening, because for example, when you Hane, then if black blocks like this or cuts or something, then this one white cannot even block it anymore. And even after just pushing, even without Hane, I mean, if they connect, then you're pretty happy. But even just this Hane and connect, now the cut is going to work better because of this Atari. For example, something like this. Absolute train wreck for black. So this attach is even possible. And then if they play here, then the secret is this move, which is peeping, which is looking at the disconnect of this knight's move. Yeah. So if black plays anything on that side, you need to push and cut. Instead, black should play something like this, then we can live like that. If you found this helpful and interesting, please do give a thumbs up and ideally a comment. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.